So this is something I've been trying to figure out like for a very long time. Like when I say the word yawn, like I yawn. Like, why does that make sense? Is it actually contagious? Then I'm reading about mirror neurons that say like if you're in the same close proximity with people, that you're connected and that your actions are there and that they mirror, and it's like, okay, but they only mirror when it's yawning. But I do know this. I know that the mind's a really powerful thing. I do know that after a while, if we're told something over and over and over and over again, this freaking believes it. And then we take action, right? No different than we convince ourselves a situation is dangerous or fearful. We get anxious. Anxiety is real. You're like, it's 100%. The symptoms you have based on what you think are real. And it's not really this that we're trying to fix, it's this. There's nothing else we do that's contagious, but if you yawn, it's contagious. If it's not contagious, you have a better answer for me, tell me. Now me, I go back to what I struggle with people on a regular basis, not understanding how powerful what we're told to believe or how we're labeled is. One of the most powerful theories I've ever studied in school, in graduate school, was labeling theory. How after a while, people begin to believe the things that you say about them or the box they're put in. After a while, they're just like, guess that's just, you tell somebody over and over and over and over and over again that they're whatever, weak. After a while, they're just like, I'm just weak. It's like being hypnotized. Have you ever been hypnotized? I remember being in high school and they do that all night senior party and it's like 4 in the morning and plus you've been drinking for like a whole week because you're graduating and baseball's over and there's no sport. So it's like, dude, I'll just be drunk for 5 days. So you're not asleep at all. Now, who wants to be hypnotized? Well, dude, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I remember them asking people to dance like Madonna. I remember them saying, can't you smell these smells? I remember not being out, but I remember being up on stage like everybody else, like, I'm tired, I'm just kind of giving up, and my mind takes over, and then I'm like, I stop fighting it, because I actually do want to do what everybody's doing, right? Like, they're laughing based on what they're doing. There's 8 of us up on stage in front of, 400 people. So I guess if they're doing it and they're hypnotized, I want to be as well, and I just kind of, and I'm tired, and all the conditions kick in. So I think the yawn made me think about it because the yawn is just a microcosm of so many things that happen in our lives that somebody else does and we duplicate it without any justification because there's no science behind a lot of that. Like you see somebody that's hung out with somebody their entire life or raised by somebody, they walk the same, they talk the same, they act like, dude, they've been watching. We're so powerful in what we ingrain to ourselves and what we believe. So I don't know. I think if you convinced people for 100 years that if you had an itch, that the person next to you had an itch, you scratch your head, they're gonna scratch your head, I think we'd probably do it. Think about the things we do on a daily basis that are contagious. Think about people trying to change their situations. Give me somebody that wants to open a business and nobody around them's ever opened a business. And their contagious behavior was the negativity their family had, or they're cheap. When your parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles are cheap and laugh about not tipping, not paying, you probably cheap. You probably didn't wake up one day and go, it's bad to be cheap. Then you're like, dude, that's what we do. We don't leave a tip and screw people. Who cares? Doesn't matter. They don't need it. Blah, blah, blah. Don't pay anything. Screw people over when you do a business transaction. So there's so many behaviors that we have convinced ourselves are contagious. I don't think any of them are contagious. None of them. But there's some that we think are mindless. Now, why don't we care about the yawn? Because it seems painless. Like, can it really hurt us? And the answer is it probably can't. But what if we go, you know what? I know I should be more assertive, but most of the people in my family are not assertive. I know that I shouldn't be so overly opinionated and I should listen to other people, but that's just how I am. That's everybody. That's how I was raised to be. I know I shouldn't be so argumentative, but that's how I was raised to be. And there's subtle things that we think aren't that big a deal until we continue to convince ourselves that this is our lot in life. But unfortunately, we're not cognizant of that, which makes us easily manipulated, which why we tend to do the things that we do, believe the things we believe, buy into the things we buy into. Think about conditioning. I'm going to drop my new merchandise. There's only 400 of them. And everybody's sitting there like, well, I got to get them. I'm like, dude, there'll be more. There'll be more. They'll be fine. The first 1,800, you don't have to stand outside. And I know nowadays you got to wait in line, Cyber, I guess, for Black Friday, they have Thanksgiving for holiday shopping. But dude, but we just, when we get tired and we just throw our hands up and say, that's the way it is, we can convince ourselves of anything. But think about the flip side. What if we did the opposite? What if we used that power for good? And we looked at people and said, I can do exactly what he or she is doing. Let's just say you were one hell of a musician, and you're very talented, but you got to put the grind, you got to put the work in. And you see other really talented people. It's okay to appreciate their talent, but why aren't we thinking about like, I can get there too. I had the talent. They're not better than me. See what they did. Let me emulate those things they did. I wish people it'd be more contagious to work out. So-and-so works out. I must work out. So-and-so eats right. I must eat right. It's unbelievable what we throw our hands up and just say, it's okay. Like, let's just do that. And that's the struggle with some of the, people want to read a book or go hear a motivational speaker, and that's fine. But they're the one that are manipulating their mind in a good way for an hour, or if you're reading a book for 7 hours cumulatively as you read it over the course of a month. But then you're back to your real life, and you don't make those changes to keep your mind focused. When I got sober, I didn't go, I'm glad I'm sober, glad I don't use drugs anymore, glad I'm not drinking anymore. Hell, let me hang out with my buddies that get high and drunk every night, and let's see how long that lasts. I was like, had to redefine the nature of my association. And a lot of us just don't do that. My buddies are great people, they're awesome. But I had a hard enough time controlling myself, so I wasn't gonna place myself in that situation. That didn't seem to make any kind of sense to me. But what are things that we're mindless enough to just go, I'll do it. Like they told me I can't have that, I'll do it. What don't we question? What don't we ask about? What do we accept without thinking? When do we give up on our thinking? What are we thinking? I want your feedback, because we're just trying to find a way to get more people to understand how to take control of their lives. And, I just don't want to be, the puppet on the strings. I want to be in control of my own destiny, literally, and make the decisions I want to make for my family, and make those regardless of what I'm being told by people that may or may not know more than me. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you jumping on Punch Me in the Face as always. And I am curious about this thing. It might be stupid. It might make sense. You might not. You might have a much better story where you yawned and went skydiving and fell off a cliff, or did something stupid, or you watched somebody you've never ever yawned because somebody else yawned, or it's the dumbest thing in the history of the world, or scientifically you got the whole thing figured out, you cracked the code, and we can stop this contagious yawning because it's such an epidemic. So appreciate y'all. Thanks for jumping on.